Vikas, can you see my screen?
Yes, Kalpit, I can see it. Yes,
Okay.
it's visible. Kalpit, can we start?
Yes, we can. I'm ready.
Yeah. Uh, so, hi everyone. Good evening. Welcome to today's webinar. In today's webinar, we will cover the topic Generative AI Essentials for Modern Workforce. So, before starting the webinar, I would like to give us short speech about today's speaker. So, today's speaker is Mr. Kalpit Singh. He's a director of AI at Single Store. He's also an ex-VP for artificial intelligence at Go Self-Serve, and previously he was the VP of artificial intelligence at Flam, and he has also worked in Microsoft. So Kalpit is a leader in the field of AI for mixed reality. He also heads a R&D team at leading AI startup and was previously the CEO and founder of Cognomen, a startup in the space of face recognition. With over 12 plus years of experience, he has filed over 6 patents and a few more in progress. He is also one of our esteemed faculty at Great Learning. So before handing over the session to the speaker, I would like to give basic instructions of this webinar. So this is a listen only mode webinar. So whatever queries or doubts you have, you can either use the chat section or the Q&A section, which is in the menu bar below. Right? Thank you guys. Over to you, Kalpit.
Thank you, Vikas. Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you, Vikas, for the introduction. I think you guys fairly know about me now. Nothing to boast of. It's been like just 13 years, and I'm working with AI for last 7 or 8 years. Um, so in today's webinar, I think we will be talking about generative AI essentials. Essential, what I mean by is like we will be touching topics which is related to a little bit about prompt engineering, what is a context window, how generally RAG applications work, re-ranking, right? And then we're going to talk about what's happening in the industry. We'll also talk about Microsoft Azure AI, and then why we all are looking towards generative AI for businesses, right? And then the business team from Great Learning going to take it, where they're going to discuss about the program details and the live Q&A. In this webinar, guys, I think we will gonna be stressing not into the depth of several topics like transformers or any technical detail. So I also request the audience that we will maintain the questionnaire towards what we are discussing, because that will gonna defocus it. But if case in case you have some specific doubt related to core technical depth, please reach out to me on LinkedIn. I will definitely gonna try to give you responses over there, right? Awesome. Here you have two windows. One is Q&A. So whenever you feel that your head is having some sort of questions, please post it over Q&A window. And then for general questions, which I would be asking, let's say, any question for related to poll that, how is my audience and stuff, you can respond me on the webinar chat. All right. Awesome. I think this sounds good. So before we discuss the first topic, what exactly is generative AI? I would like to know my audience a bit. Let's keep this session full duplex sort of, where I will be asking several questions, you respond me back. Okay, so that it will be sort of indulging from both the sides. I know voice is not allowed, but yeah, even with the messages you would be giving over the chat windows, they will gonna be helping us to make this session more engaging for all of us. Awesome. So let's start with I would like to know my audience a little bit more. So just let me know if you guys are from software engineering field. Um, so let's say if you are already a developer or a software engineer who knows basics of programming languages, because what Great Learning is doing here is to give you some sort of discussion about their course. So what I want is that, hey, whether I'm interacting to an audience which is having some sort of experience or exposure to software engineering or not. So if you are into software engineering, please say yes. If you are not to this field, you're belonging to other domain where you don't know the basics of software engineering, just say no. Okay, you can use the webinar chat option. Thank you, guys. I could already see some responses and I really like it. I could see that few people are saying no, few people are saying yes. I could also see there are a lot of founders joining here and I really appreciate. Awesome. So I think we have an audience which is a mix of software engineering and the other domains. So that's fine. We will gonna keep the discussion in a way where I will not be using more technical terms, rather trying to explain it so that both the audience can enjoy what is scoped for this particular webinar. Awesome. Before coming to this question, what is generative AI? Let me ask you something. If you might have used machine learning models or not, have you ever seen any sort of model which a company is talking about? Let's talk about Grammarly. Have you guys heard of Grammarly before? I hope everybody might have heard. Not, then please search Grammarly. It's an application which can auto-complete, correct your grammatical mistake. That was the original Grammarly, right? But today I'm not sure what other offerings they provide. But Grammarly is sort of they have created a machine learning model through which they can correct and understand what sort of sentence you are trying to write, right? Before Grammarly, because that was correct, because that was focusing upon the language model, we might have already seen that, if some of the people might have tried that, hey, I want to build a model which can predict what will be the temperature tomorrow, which can predict what will be the price of this specific share, or which can predict who is the person standing in front of the camera, right? We might have seen all of this. Well, when I talk about this particular sort of models, you will be aware that all these models were used to train on specific data for a specific domain, for a specific use case, right? And this sort of model training, we used to refer this sort of model training. Okay, what exactly is a model? We will not touch in just next thing. But what I'm talking about, that whenever we used to train a machine learning related model, that was referred to as the classical machine learning model. Okay, classical machine learning. Okay, what exactly does it mean? That all the models were specific to a domain and a specific use case. Okay? And that's all is covered inside the classical machine learning model. Okay, now I have a question for you guys. So let's say you have a company, and before coming to that, can you guys give me a one-liner if you guys understand what exactly is a model? Just some one-liner on webinar chat. What do you understand by what thoughts comes under your head when I say a machine learning model? Okay, nice. People are giving LLM model. That's a good thing that you're jumping ahead. But what generalized all these things? Oh, so prototype. Okay, auto. Any other thing which comes when I say model? Awesome. I think I have got some response which are really responding towards what exactly does it mean. So when I say model, model means I would like to create a mathematical equation that can solve or that can satisfy all the inputs and outputs of the mathematical equation. So let's say if I say ax plus by equal to c is a mathematical equation where a and b are some unknown constants. So based on different records in the data, I would like to find out what exactly are the values of a and b so that this equation ax plus by plus c equal ax plus by equal to c will gonna satisfy, right? So nothing model is nothing but you can think of it like a mathematical equation. Okay. Now this mathematical equation, while running into a software program, that whole thing is called as model. Okay. So it will also need some sort of a program which will be running, right? So that whole thing is called as model. Okay. Awesome. I think few people are really explain it better than me. So what exactly is a model? A mathematical equation in a software program along with that software program is called as a model. And why we call it as learning? Because computer is trying to learn these equation a and b and c, whatever equation I'm giving, right? Linear, non-linear, or any sort of equation, mathematical equation. So computer is trying to figure out these constant value based on the data it is seeing in your company. Okay, that's why it is called as learning. Okay. Now when I talk about these classical machine learning, you can see that whenever I have to create a model, it has to be specific to a domain. So let's say if you have trained a model on the data in company A that will gonna predict the stock prices of different domain they have in their company, that model will not be useful into other company where they would also like to predict the market price of their other sub companies they have. So they're completely specific to a domain and use case. Okay. This we call it as classical machine learning. Classical machine learning is generally um, is statistical based. Okay. Generally, a lot of statistics is used, and we also refer to as one more term called discriminative AI. Why discriminative AI? Because most of the uh, fundamentals which are there generally depends upon distance. So how far a particular so whenever we are trying to separate a and b points inside some data, so this, let's say in the whole data, some points belongs to category a, some points belongs to category b, right? So we are trying to discriminate these categories, right? Or would like to do regression where we're going to predict what is the temperature and other linear stuff, right? That's why classical machine learning is also called as the discriminative AI. So enough discussed on discriminative AI, but if I ask you what are the down points of discriminative AI, they are very straightforward. And these are the two downsides of this classical machine learning. Okay. Well, we can't compare classical machine learning with what is the next, which we want to discuss, which we call it as generative AI, because both the use cases are different. So if somebody is saying, hey, generative AI is good and classical machine learning is not, that will be like not a fair comparison between the two. But just to categorize what sort of AIs we have, that's where I'm talking about classical machine learning, and other one is called as the generative AI. Here we can say it's Gen AI. Okay. So what exactly Gen AI make it, a little bit different from classical machine learning? Because Gen AI is not is not only generic in nature. Okay, it can be used to generate new data also, right? So it can generate new data. Okay, so that is very, very important that it, oh my gosh, I think I wrote it here so that you guys might not be able to see it. One second, guys. Okay. Let me write it here. I'm not able to move it. So generative AI, when we talk about, uh, it's more about, so Gen AI is more about generating new data. Now, new data could be an image or any tabular data or text. Okay. In generative AI, we generally use something called language models. Okay. Uh, we call it as language models. Okay, now I can move. Awesome. Okay, we generally discuss on the language models. Okay, and what are language models? Well, language models are the models which can understand a specific language and they can generate some sort of sentences and paragraph in a specific language. Okay, that's where we 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 see a lot of use cases with generative AI today. Okay. Now, coming to the point where I was talking about that classical machine learning has a downside that they were trained on specific data for a specific use case. And that is not here because most of the language models or generative AI models, they are trained on vast amount of data taken from different domains available around the internet. And that's why most of these language models are called as large language models because they have large parameters. Parameters means what? I told you, right, in the mathematical question, for an example, A, B, C, all these were the parameters which I was uh, finding out the values for based on the data, right? So large language models might have millions and billions of parameters. Okay. So large language models, why they call as large? Two reasons. One is they have a lot of parameters. Another one is they are trained on a lot of data. Okay. And they are domain independent. What does it mean, domain independent? It means that they can be used in any domain. So there is no specific, case where I would say that, hey, I can use, uh, so they are domain independent. I can use them in any domain. They're not specific to only marketing or science or computer science. They can be used in any domain. Okay. And that's why they are very generic in nature. They're very generic in nature. Okay. Okay. So once I say that they are generic in nature, that means I can use them uh, in any domain. All right. That's what generative AI is, and that is why it is becoming very popular. That they are domain and use case generic. I want to use it in marketing domain. Yes, I can use it. I want to use it in science. Yes, I can use. I want to use it in computer science. I can use to generate code. Yes, I can also use it to generate text, images, okay? Text, images, video, audio, and there are a lot of other examples you could see on the internet, like Sora, which can generate videos. All right. And can anybody give me any large language model, any generative AI model which is capable of generating images on the webinar chat? Just a small question for you guys. ChatGPT can generate, but what exactly that model is called? Okay, this is a Delhi. Okay, it's already written here. That's a good response. So it's already a homework for you. You could after this webinar just search for which models are capable of generating images. Okay, and which model can generate videos, which models can generate audios, which models can generate logical reasoning text. Okay. So when you search all this is going to give you a list of models which you can put it into some sort of notes. Whenever you get a use case related to this, some of these words already. Okay. Now, coming to this question, which we want to discuss, is that why generative AI is transforming business. Now you got the answer. And that's why we spent a little bit time here that since generative AI models are generic in nature, they can be used everywhere, right? So wherever I want to increase the productivity, it can be used as a co-pilot sitting with me. So let's say if I have to design this whole PPT, which we are discussing now, if I write each sentence via keyboard, thinking, idealizing, defining what topic should be there, what topic should not be there, The whole PPT can be generated using ChatGPT in just few seconds, right? And then I can review it. So ChatGPT is like a co-pilot for me. It is generating and giving the structure for me, and then I can refine the structure in every iteration. So instead of me sitting on this PPT for 1 hour, I can finish this work in just 1 or 2 hours, right? So that's where you could see that, generative AI use cases are there around the businesses in any domain, right? So we that's why if you see for last 2 years, or maybe 3 years, generative AI is one of the highly talk topic all over the globe and all over the platforms and all the industries. You tell me one industry which is not talking about generative AI or AI. Most of the new businesses are registered inside the AI domain, whether they are doing the AI business or not. But if they are using any of the utility within their business using AI, they call themselves as AI company. And why they want to call themselves as AI companies? Because every company is looking forward for use cases which can be solved by AI. Right? That's why everybody is talking about AI. So when I talk about, what advantage I get from generative AI, so the best example here is that you are being the part of any company, any domain. You don't have to think about, hey, I should have a data, I should have, specific data, a special machine learning team, which we're gonna build a model for me, and that's the only point where I'm gonna start. No, there are already applications, there are already different sort of platforms available which you can directly integrate with your company's data, and you don't have to do anything. That application is going to do everything for you, right? So that's the power of, and that's where business are transforming themselves. Awesome. So let's move on and understand the other important part. Well, when I talk about large language models, the best part about these models is that they follow some sort of um, question and answer related relationship. Okay. So all these chat platforms which you see today, like Gemini, Claude, or if I talk about ChatGPT or any other large, let's say Perplexity, right? Or any other large language model, wherever you want to use, they give you a platform where you ask a question and then it will gonna respond you back. Okay. So this specific where I'm asking a question and giving responses, this asking a question is a very tricky thing. Okay. Why it is a tricky thing? When I talk about how these large language models work inside, this one fundamental you have to understand. Okay. So if I have to talk about, let's say, language models, there are generally two types. One are called the mass language models, and other one are called as the autoregressive. Okay. And there could be other categories also, but these are the two major categories where I define or segregate the language models as a whole, right? Mass language models, they are not the models which can generate something which they have not seen, or based on some context, they can generate anything. So mass language models, what generally they do? They can do fill in the blanks, okay? Or they can just complete a sentence via one word, okay? Complete a sentence with a word, okay? And then you could say, some sort of sentiment analysis. So all this small thing where I don't want to generate a whole of text, right? Those models are called as the masked language models, okay? But when I need a sort of a model which can continuously generate new words one after another, what I'm saying, it generates a word, and when I fed this word, it generates another word. And when I fed these two words, it generates third word. When I feed, all these three words, it will gonna generate the fourth word. When I feed these four words together, it will gonna generate the fifth word. Such sort of model category is called as autoregressive model. Can you now tell me which model is autoregressive on the webinar chat? Is ChatGPT autoregressive or not? Just say yes and no. Absolutely. Absolutely. You guys are right. So ChatGPT is an autoregressive model because it takes some sort of tokens or words and generates a new token or word, right? So that's why it is called autoregressive. Now, in autoregressive, the important thing which you have to understand is that, so let's say if I gonna give some context, context means initial tokens or words. So let's say it could be one token, which I'm giving this model as input. And based on this input, it will gonna generate an output. Okay. This could be one single word or a whole sentence itself. And what is the next step? It will gonna take both. So next step would be to generate the third word. It has to take this along with the last generated word. And then if I feed it into the autoregressive model, it will gonna generate another word. Okay. Next step, it will gonna take all these three words together. So it will gonna take this other word and the newly generated word. And when I gonna feed it inside an autoregressive model, it will gonna generate a new word. Okay. That is what this whole thing is called autoregression. Okay. Where I'm generating one token after another and one word after another. Don't worry about tokens and words. I think you guys can search it yourself. What exactly are the tokens? What exactly are the words? Not big thing. But let's understand when I talk about how generally it works. Okay. Now in autoregressive models, if let's say I'm giving some sort of some sentence already, the sentence is let's say one of my neighbors name is Ram, and he loves to eat ice cream. Can you give his address details? Okay. So when I give this sort of question to ChatGPT, okay, um, the thing here is that it will gonna do same autoregression here, that it will gonna take one word after another. So it will gonna take all this together, whatever I am writing, and it will gonna feed this whole thing into the ChatGPT model, and there would be one single word which got generated after this. Okay, let's say this is the word which is generated. Now again, we're gonna take all of this along with this new word to the ChatGPT. We're gonna add another word. Okay, like that, all these large language model work. So based on the context you are giving, it will gonna generate words in that sense. And since all these models, they understand the words and how they understand what sort of algorithms are used, what exactly is the machine learning model behind the scenes, that is not we want to discuss today. But you can imagine when the context is giving this, the output tokens or an output word will also be related, somehow related to the context. Okay. So let's say if I ask ChatGPT today, without giving this context, I simply ask, who is Ram? Who is Ram? If I'm simply saying this, to ChatGPT, it might not give you this detail because this context I have not set to the ChatGPT. So the output of this question would be that, hey, Ram is one of the prince in Ramayana who killed Ravana and all that, because that is so generalized in nature. But when I give this as a context, hey, one of my neighbors' name is Ram, he loved to eat ice cream. And when I ask who is Ram, it will gonna give details of this particular Ram, that Ram is your, so the output would be in this case is that Ram is your neighbor and he loves to eat ice cream. This is the expected output, right? Right. So where everything is playing. Right? You could see that whatever context I'm giving, the whole game is on that. So if the context is related to science, the output you could expect will be related to science. If the context is related to maths, the output will also be maths. If the context is related to digital marketing, the output will also be digital marketing. So your context plays a very important role, right? What is hallucination? So when I give some question, when I ask some question to, let's say, any large language model, and when the output of this large language model deviates from the output which I expect or the context, that particular stuff is called as hallucination. Okay, that hey, it just deviated from the actual output. Okay, and why it will deviate? Because this part, the context, this part, the context was not given properly. Okay, so when I talk about whenever you want to interact with all these large language model, we follow an anatomy of the prompt. So whenever you are writing anything into the chat window for asking this large language model or any chat platform, right, we call that text as prompt. So prompt is like a trigger. So triggering the large language model to give you response, right? And what should be there in the prompt to make the things, you know, exactly what you want? It should have a context. So you have to first give the background. That is very, very important. If you're not giving the context of what you want, the model will hallucinate and you will not get the exact output you are looking forward for. This is the first thumb rule. Okay, so let's say if I am formulating, I am a software engineer. Those who said yes, let's say you are looking forward to write a Python program which can actually implement a specific algorithm. Okay, let's say the algorithm here is red black tree. Just for an example, those who don't understand this example, I'm going to give another example. Don't worry about that. And until my question is related to red black tree, whatever context I'm giving, so red black tree is also a context, right? But if I say I want to use this red black tree in certain way, it adds more value to the context. Okay, so more I explain that, hey, where I want to use this red black tree, what exactly the use case I am looking forward for, what should be this red black tree is concerning more about, that all thing goes to the context. So whenever you're writing a prompt, make sure to explain chat gpt as if you are explaining your mentor or your intern to get some task done, right? Same way you have to give whole context. Don't ask open-ended questions. So when you ask open-ended question, it will gonna give you the facts. That's it. And those facts might come from some other linkage to some other topic, which in your head is not right. Correct. Another example for the people who are in digital marketing, let's say, and you want to do some sort of a campaign planning for a marketing for a new startup, and that startup is doing some work. And if I give the prompt as, hey, can you design me a marketing campaign for 5 days? The budget is this. The answer might not be correct because the plan which ChatGPT will gonna give is so generic. But when you explain, hey, there is a new startup who is having very less budget. The domain of the startup is, AI, or domain of the startup is end-to-end business, B2B business, or let's say D2C, right? Direct to consumer, whatever. And you give all details. This is what, this is what he's serving. When I give more details about the company and build the right context, the output of the prompt would be great. It is not just about context. Anatomy of prompt says that you give context, it is just like a background. Then you also tell ChatGPT that, hey, I have given you enough background, but let's say you think about as if you are a software engineer, or as if you are a digital marketing person, or if you are a senior manager. So you have to define a role. With these role and context together help the ChatGPT like platform to trigger the experts. Okay. So each model, let's say ChatGPT 5, assume they have experts. multiple experts, let's say 22 experts. Out of these 22 experts, model has to decide which expert I should use for what, right? So you have to give right context and the right role. Not only role, you should also tell what exactly should be the work which this particular platform would be doing for you. Hey, you have to write a Python program, or you have to give me so what exactly you want from it? That is called the action. Okay, that is also very important. So context, role, action. And the third important is how you want output to be. Do you want output to be a Python program, or you just want an output to be a Word document which will just explain or do some sort of metadata building, or in terms of marketing domain, the output could be a template, or it could be just a document explaining the digital marketing plan to the customer, right? So all these four parts in a particular prompt are very, very important. Okay, all right. So I think I could see some questions here. Let me pick those. Is it necessary to always follow the anatomy of the prompt in the order shown to get the best result, or can example first mention the role and then the context? Well, let me give you more context here. Generally, what role you give has to see different models, they have their own precedences. You can follow their official documents, right? Generally, what I follow is that first you define, hey, think like this. So I generally use role as first. However, there is no order such where you have to keep these things in mind, but it's good that if you keep the role as first and then action as second, okay, and what output you want as third, okay, and then when you talk about the context, let's give it at the end, because there is a problem with these large language models which all the companies are not have already solved it mostly. uh, Lost in the middle problem, we call it as lost in the middle problem. It means that when your context is too long, very, very long context, okay, and you have just given context, and in last few lines you have given about the role and action, so the model will gonna lost in the middle and it will deprioritize the last text you have given, okay. But all these new models which are coming in the market, they're solving it. So you could follow, but why I kept, so this is not the precedent, but context plays an important role. That's why I put in this slide as the number one. Okay. All right. I hope I answered this question. Next is, so asking question should be setting the context, not just the question. See, question is not the context. Giving more detail about your question. Hey, what I mean by this is that. What I mean by this is this. That is called the context. And what you're asking is the action. And how you want the output to be, JSON format, plain text, Python program, or whatever output you want, that is the output. So context and action are different. Until the context window fits, it will keep taking the previous prompt. Not like that. So when auto-regressive model work, there is something called end of uh, token or the ending token, which whenever this token comes in, the large language model gonna stop the execution that time, and you can define that token. So either you can give that token into the prompt, or you can give that how you give in the prompt. Let's say I just want three-liner. So the chat GPT model itself defines the end of sequence or end of token, end of generation token for you. End of sequence, generally we call it end of sequence. Okay. And when you are developing an application in the API, you can define what is the end of sequence character or token. You can give that. Okay, somebody's asking, can you give an example of poorly structured prompt and improve using the four elements? I think I've already given the example of Ram, where simply asking a question, who is Rama, will not give you the output. Or so I think we have already talked about this example called red black tree and digital marketing example. Is Mars language model outdated? No, Mars language models, none of the models around in the globe is outdated. You can't say that any model is outdated or old. See, it's a decision. Generally, when you solve a problem, it's a decision which you have to make in softwares? Do you want high throughput? Do you want high quality, or the price? Right. So you have to make a very good decision about all these three parameters, right? And mass language models are not outdated. When your use case is just to understand what exactly this sentence is talking about, you don't have to generate anything. Why you want to simply use these services which take a lot of compute and resources? So using ChatGPT as a model for every task is not suited, specifically when we talk about building an application as a software engineer, right? So everything has, so let's say if I ask you, hey guys, can you agree with this statement which I'm making? Large language models can predict the future. So let's say what will be the temperature tomorrow. Who agree with this? Say yes if you agree with what I'm saying, or no if you don't. Large language models, the autoregressive models, can predict the future. Predict the future means they can predict what will be the exact temperature tomorrow afternoon or evening or whatever. Few people are saying yes. See, generally it is not correct, because large language models, how they work is to create a word afterward. They don't have reasoning related to, solving a mathematical problem or something of that sort. They don't have that. They just simply generate a new token. So when I ask this, hey, what will be the prices of the share, or what will be the price, or the temperature tomorrow, they will fail abruptly. And that's where the usage of tools and agentic AI comes into picture. So you're going to create a Python tool which defines, how to calculate or predict the temperature tomorrow, and that will be used by large language model internally, right? Those are called as tools. Okay, we call them as tools. Okay, so I'm gonna be having a tool. So now you can see, if somebody will say, hey, classical machine learning is dead. No, classical machine learning can also be used as a tool inside the large language model to predict, to classify, to do whatever things which large language models or autoregressive models can't do. But how they do it? They would be using these tools internally to solve maths questions, to solve calculator related questions, or to predict anything. Got it? Awesome. So you don't have to worry about tools now, because ChatGPT 5 handles it automatically behind the scenes. You don't have to worry about that, where classical machine learning, what and that. Awesome. Good questions. I think you guys are listening to me properly. Awesome. Let's move on. Yes. Now, when I talk about what exactly, how many context window or role action will be having some sort of limit, right, in terms of words or tokens. Yes, every model is having a limit. Limit is calculated in terms of this. So how much input I can give, how much tokens in output I can expect, that all two things together forms a context window. You got it? How much input tokens, input means whatever I'm typing is called input. Okay, whatever ChatGPT is generating, that is called output. All together is called as context window. So if you look at ChatGPT 5 is having a context window of 128,000 tokens. These many words or tokens I could use. Okay. Now the question is how much. So I have also mentioned that, uh, the response size or the output tokens, let's say for ChatGPT 5 is 16,384. So you can now imagine how much input I can give. So if I subtract 16,384 from 128,000, you will get how much exactly you can give inside the token. 16K for short form. Okay. Awesome. So context window plays a very important role. Context window plays a very important role because nothing is unlimited, right? So you can't say, hey, I have a book and I will gonna copy all the text and then give it to ChatGPT, and now I'm gonna ask questions whatever I have. You won't be able to do it if you are doing this way. Again, I'm repeating. If you have a book which is having thousands of pages, hundreds of pages, and you want to copy all the text of the book into the chat window like a context, and now you want to ask question, not possible. Not possible. But you want to attach a document. When you want to attach a document inside the ChatGPT platform, it do something called RAG. Okay, that is our next topic. So what exactly RAG do? So when you have a limited context window and you want to keep and you want to select. So let's say I have a book of 60 pages. Guys, this is very important. Understand this. Very important. Okay. I have a book of 60 pages and I want to ask a question to ChatGPT. And question is related to page number 30, let's say, where whatever text is there in page number 30, that is the target. Okay. But I can't load all these 60 pages into the context window because I have a limited context window for each model. I can't do it. But if I do something like, whatever my question is, okay, I first match all the pages, whether this belongs to first page or second page or third page or whatever page, only that page, if I load as a context, so I load, let's say, page number 30 as context, followed by my question. So this is my question, let's say, and this whole thing creates a prompt to the large language model. Okay. And then I give it to large language model, it will gonna give response back to me. Correct. So which page is important, or let's say which text is important inside the context of a large language model from the whole book or from the whole company's data? Just because we have a limited context window, there is a fundamental we call as RAG. Okay. I hope you guys now got it. What exactly is RAG? Retrieval augmented generation. That means I will gonna have a retriever which will gonna retrieve the data from the database based on my question. And it will only retrieve those sentences or those particular words which will gonna form better context for me. So that context which is been created by the retriever plus my question. So this is the context. Here it is created by the retriever. And whatever was my question, all together go to large language model and it will gonna give me a response. This sort of thing is called as the RAG. I hope it makes sense, right? That's why we need RAG for all the application where we want to deal with large data. Okay. Awesome. Now let's move on. So when I talk about RAG, RAG can match. Hey, the question is why only page number 30? The question could be related to page number 30, page number 60, page number 49 also. And all those pages together can also break the context window, because that's how engineers do, right? If something is there, then there will be limitations of it. Then comes a fundamental called re-ranking, where out of page number 30 in our example, so when I talk about, hey, my question is more related to page number 30 also, page number 40 in page number 50. But when I keep the content of all these three together, it still break the rule of context window. Still breaks the rule of context window. Then what I have to do? I will do re-rank. Re-rank means which particular page is more relevant. Okay, now I'm talking about pages here. You can think it's not pages. It could be sentences. Okay, so each sentence I have put inside a whole database. Instead of pages, I am putting paragraphs, let's say, or sentences. Okay, so each paragraph inside a big database is being mapped. So let's say this is para number 1, para number 2, para number 3, para number 4, 5, like that. No, millions of paragraphs are there. And then when I do retriever in RAG, it will gonna retrieve, let's say, a lot of data because that match happens, right? And then re-ranker, what it will gonna do? It will gonna filter out that which is more relevant so that I can fit that in a single context window. That's what is called as re-ranker. In re-ranking, generally, more about which is the best match. So re-ranker is generally, it could be semantic re-ranking, lexical re-ranking, or you can also create a machine learning model or classical machine learning model rather, to re-rank a specific documents. Okay. How these are, because I actually wanted to discuss all these things in details, but my audience, as I said initially when I asked, is not that technical. So I'm gonna skip this, but you can now imagine that, what we do. First we do, so whenever a question is there, I will gonna ask this question from this whole database, each word by word matching. So in sentence number one, which words matches with my question, I will gonna take it. So it will be filtered. Okay. I will gonna go to second sentence and I will gonna match the words. If the match is happening, let's say more than 60% of the words are matching, I will filter this record. So let's say total number of sentences in my database is, let's say, 1 million. So the first one, when I call the lexical match, lexical means word by word match. Okay. This can filter, you could say that out of 1 million, it will have, let's say, some 1,000 records it filtered. But those 1,000 records which are filtered by the lexical match cannot be fit inside the context window. So what I'll do, I'm gonna do refiltering again on this 1,000 using something called as by-encoders. By-encoders is like, instead of word, I will gonna create an embedding. I will gonna create an embedding of the whole sentence. Whatever I'm speaking here is more computer science technical. So guys, if you're not understanding, don't get confused. I'm just explaining a very high level. So for each sentence, I will match which sentence is far more near to my question. So I'm gonna filter, let's say, 100 records from here. But out of these 100 records, I still cannot fit them inside the context window. Then comes the cross encoder. The cross encoder is like, I will ask the chat GPT sort of an application, hey, which sentence is matching more than my question? Then we'll have, let's say, only 10 questions or 15 questions, 15 sentences left. That I'm gonna fit inside the context window. Now, cross encoder is where when I'm using LLM, and by encoders is where I'm using embedding. So ChatGPT is also having an embedding model. Embedding model is faster, but their accuracies are low, or accuracy means precision is low. And cross encoders precision is very high, but they are very costly because they are using LLMs, right? So, okay, one question. Can you guys tell me, in the cross encoders, shall I use autoregressive model or masked models? Can anybody just give me a guess? What should I use in cross encoder? Cross encoder means when I'm matching a question. Exactly. I think Nikhil, a very nice answer. My webinar is successful. So we should use masked model, because why? Because we are not generating anything. We're asking just the match. Hey, which sentence matches best with this particular sentence? So when two sentences are matching using cross encoder technique, I don't need autoregressive models or models which can generate text. I just need semantic analysis, right? Whether the meaning of this word is similar to this word or not. So I will be using the masked models. And in the masked model, one of the model is BERT. Okay, so I would be using BERT. Okay. So cross encoders are costly and by encoders are not accurate. So there is another middleman called Colbert. Colbert is multi-vector search or maximum similarity, where it calculates embedding for each word, not for the sentence. And that's where it's creates this filtration. Okay. But for the re-ranking, it's not like I will be using only this or this or this. It's a whole process. And most of the time, we use all of these. All of these. Okay. Fantastic. I hope you're liking this session. Let's move forward, where we would be running out of time soon. So what's in the industry? Well, ChatGPT 5 is introduced now. A lot of experts are there in ChatGPT. Uh, ChatGPT is moving towards the case where, all these agents which can code. So it's a model which is empowering more agentic AI. What is agentic AI, guys? Agentic AI is the AI where a computer can make decisions with or without human interface. Okay, it has the capability to make decisions. Okay, that's what agentic AI is. Okay. No, I don't have to talk about these trends. You guys know the trends. You guys are the part of the news happening on LinkedIn, any channels which are available today, right? So this is not something which we should focus on to discuss in this webinar. Trends are going really, really aggressive on generative AI and AI. Most of the company fundings are happening in AI domain. A lot of startups in Singapore and other countries are focusing on this particular part, especially I think US based and Singapore based startups are dwelling well. Here in India, we still don't have our own from scratch large language models. Looking forward from the innovators like you to come up with this. And I think that will be the life changing event, right? Again, you might have felt that, if I'm writing AI in my resume, you're getting a call. I'm not sure how many people have faced this. And if you're not writing uh, anything about AI, there would be very less interviews you would be getting. I'm not saying no, but very less interviews. And that's what focus on, generative AI job trends. If you know generative AI, not to an extent where you should be an expert, but you are using it on a daily basis, but you know how to create applications, that will gonna change your resume and the job calls. Okay. Now, Microsoft, since Azure is their cloud platform and all the Fortune 500, mostly all these big companies, they host data over there. So creating and developing large language models related applications is far more easier over there. Secondly is OpenAI's latest models are available whenever they are released on Azure. And they are also having multiple AI services within Azure. And I think Microsoft, that's how is becoming one of the platform where you can start your journey with AI. And with when you know this particular platform well, all these known good companies will gonna call you because their data resides on Microsoft Azure, right? So that's what. So in this scenario, when I talk about this specific course, I think business team is gonna take it. So you will be learning about prompt engineering, both with code and without code. So people who are efficient with code, you will gonna learn it with code. And those who are not, you will gonna start learning some sort of coding. But all these application can be developed with or without code. Okay. There would be a certificate by Microsoft, and there would be a lot of labs in this program. Cool. I think Vikash, if you would like
Yes.
to take this. Before that, I would like to answer a few questions. I think a lot of questions are there. I'm gonna take 2 more minutes answering these questions. So, one question is, what are tools to use AI? I think tools you don't have to worry. Most of these tools are available in all the platforms. So when you're developing an application, you should know just Python. That's it. If you don't know how to code, you can use other tools like Crew AI and all, right? Other thing is something to pick and learn for machine and references. I'm not sure. All models, not sure. What is the job of Oracle database admin in GenAI? What is the job of Oracle database admin in GenAI? Well, oh, nice. So all the database people, if you are from database admin side and you're looking for generative AI, very large opportunity for you. Okay, I'll tell you. The first one is, since you own the data, you own the database, you can actually run these workloads in a sandbox environment where data is available. So you could be the people who will be helping out generative AI people to get the right data. And second phase is to get the application running inside the database. So there are a lot of database which if I talk about Snowflake today, data is there, so data admins will be there. But most of the AI offerings they have, all these data admins and the people who use database can train their models, both classical machine learning and generative AI models, directly onto the platform. So a lot of learning curve. I'm not sure about Oracle, but yeah, other data lake platforms, they are providing this out of the box. Will you give example of GenAI apps that are being used for different types of purposes? You mentioned ChatGPT mostly, but there are many other. Which ones are the best for which purpose? Well, if I talk about these large language models, why I was talking about ChatGPT, because one of the known and proven platforms since it started, people relate better to this. But let's say you want to measure, most of these models are giving reasoning capabilities, right? So if you want to code, you can still use Claude and Gemini. Uh, but if you want to search or do internet searching or the deep research, I would suggest Perplexity is one of those tools which you can use. However, deep research is not only limited to Perplexity. All these three platform provide. So if you have to segregate which is better for what, I have not seen any sort of a difference. But in terms of quality, I rely more on ChatGPT as a co-pilot when I work on a daily basis, right? Which LLM, if any, can be used for coding in Python for greeting the syntax or those who don't know Python? I think you start with ChatGPT. Go for its official documentation. Don't go any other material on the internet. Just go for ChatGPT, and you're gonna find out a lot of information how to start with the UI and then later on with the code. Okay, which formula help find total sales for the cell D2? I don't know this question, sorry, out of my knowledge. How can neophyte Python learner can start his journey? Yeah, you see, there is no question about when and how to start this journey. The question starts with like when you start interacting with ChatGPT. So when you start interacting with it, whatever silly questions, doubts you have, just ask it. It will gonna help you from 0 to 1 and from 1 to 10. Okay. For the front-end developer with React.js, oops, how can I approach for this? Same way. Front-end, very, very important part, because front-end is the one who can directly create the application right from the web itself, interacting with the ChatGPT APIs or any app, right? So it is a better opportunity for you to learn faster, right? So I would say start is nothing, just start interacting with ChatGPT uh, for small doubts you have. That's how you're going to build the more context towards what you want to learn. Okay, awesome. I think which is the best model for creating PowerPoint presentation? Sorry, not for this scope. What are the scopes for automation and performance tester in Gen AI side? Like what kind of work they will do? Okay, I think for testing, most of the testers, they use platforms like Selenium IDE, or they use automation test cases, right? For tester, if it is GUI related, I think we already have capabilities where the pro version of ChatGPT can actually look at the UI and give you the complete testing of a specific website or do interaction with the website. The second part here is that unit testing and the integration testing. All these test cases can be written by the ChatGPT. Secondly is when I talk about testing, it's not just about automating the things by writing the GUI testing or the integration or the unit test. More about, executing these tests as an end user. So how end user will gonna, so that is also possible with these Gen AIs. The other part is where you would be analyzing the logs and other parts to do predictive analysis of the logs. So if there is some error coming up frequently but not has been reported by the end user, you can build an application which can do analysis of the logs and give you the details. So I think all those are the scenarios which you can look forward for. Awesome. I think Vikash, it's the time for you to take over.
Yes, Kalpit. You can leave if it's too late for you. I think I can take it from here, the PPT itself.
I really enjoyed interacting, guys, with you. And if you have any further question, where if you're really interested talking, please you can ping me on LinkedIn. That's fine. And you can reach out to Vikas for any clarification if you have further doubts. Uh, you being a nice audience, thank you so much for your time, and really enjoyed this webinar.
Thank you, Kalpit. Thank you for joining. So, hi everyone. So I know you have a lot of doubts right now regarding the course, the fee structure, like how long will the course be, or do we have any other generative AI courses with us? So we have a lot of, you might have a lot of options, right? So if you fill this form and put your query that, let's say you want to know about the details of the upcoming webinar, or you want to know the details about the curriculum structure, the program structure, the fee structure, or you want to have the recording of this webinar, or you want the documents related to this webinar. So anything you can just mention it in the form, and our team will get back to you with all the um, details that you need. Apart from that, if you have any questions regarding the program, I can take it. Let me just check the chat box. Okay, so what are the roles we can apply? So this is not particularly like exclusive for a set of role. Okay, so you can see the influence of Gen AI integration in almost every role. Okay, and we from Great Learning we have a program called Gen AI for business applications, where rather than focusing on programming, we focusing only on the tools to create an efficient outcome from the business domain that they are already in, rather than doing a career transition from the existing domain to a tech related field. You can integrate Gen AI in your current field and you can upskill yourself, right? Something like that. Okay. Um, any other questions? I think other than that, you can just fill the form if you have any more queries, or if you uh as I already mentioned, if you want to know about the upcoming webinars or any other courses that is related to your interest. We have a lot of AI courses. We have data science courses, Gen AI courses that has very good recognized certificates, right? We have collaboration with a lot of institutions, including the University of Texas. At Austin, we have in collaboration with the John Hopkins University. We have collaboration with IIT Bombay University as well, right? So will take 3 more minutes. I think we can end the webinar by 7:10. Before that, I think you guys can fill the form, or you can just copy it and fill it later also. That would also work. Okay, I can see a good number of responses. Thank you. Thank you so much for being so interactive. I think the speaker really loved the session, right? I could see a few questions. Let me. So, is there any MS program as well? Yeah, yes, there are a lot of master's program. There are a lot of um, you know, diploma programs if you want. There are a set of mostly it's online programs, okay, and that is because we most of our learners are working professionals, okay, and since they are only available on the weekends, all of our courses are mostly very flexible and only conduct live sessions are only conducted on the weekends, so that it does not interrupt your daily working. Okay, and any other questions? Yes, you can get the uh, slides. You can fill the form if and you can put that in the suggestion that's saying that you need the slides of this webinar, and our team will share it with you in the email. Right? Okay. I think that's it. I think I have shared the form one more time as well. You can make use of that. We have 2 more minutes. I can still take up questions. Okay. Your Okay, Nikhil is asking for LinkedIn. So the speaker's name is Kalpit Singh, right? I will post the name in the chat. Kalpit Singh. Or I can give you the link as well. I can give you the link. Give me 1 minute. So I'm sharing you the speakers LinkedIn if you want to connect with them as well. Okay, I think that's it, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much for your time as well. Thank you. Bye.